Oh my God. I was like, where the hell were you?
I'm like, I don't know.
I
I'm like,
was thinking
Marty.
to myself, what is going on? Where is she? Why did we didn't have this problem last time? What the hell happened?
I'm like, Marty. I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't find you on my list. So I'm like,
I
okay,
know
I'll
one
be
of my
back.
a friend of mine was like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm here. I can't find her."
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my goodness. So, anyways, they're hopefully they'll come back on. So because this is such a big topic,
I I
like,
I don't understand. We had no problem last time. I'm like, I was messaging you. Like, what the hell's happening? Okay, I'm with you.
I'm like,
Okay, we're
whew,
back.
this is the
All the
problem with
excitement.
live. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So tonight we're going to talk about financial abuse, which is we don't have to talk about it all tonight because this is a huge topic. Because I want to mention that it happens in divorce. I'm a victim. I know many victims, clients as well, but also it happens in, I think I mentioned to you,
Yeah.
it happens in the grief world as well.
Yes.
So it's like, it's abundant. So um, let's start there. Like, how do you, like, what's the most common signs you see, or what gender does it happen to most? I mean, there's so many questions, but you're the expert. So,
Hold on. Let me just. One of my friends wants to join. You. Okay. So unfortunately, obviously, as you might guess, it happens mostly to women.
mm-hmm.
I see it mostly in relationships. I definitely saw it in older generations. So in older generations, there's definitely an element of financial abuse or control, but it's hard to tell because, as you may or may not know, women weren't allowed to have bank accounts without a spouse until 1964, hold credit cards or have credit in their name until 1974. So it was very typical for a much older generation for a female to have absolutely no financial control whatsoever. And I think that, like, this societal expectation is that the man will take care of money.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I was kind of like thinking about, like, so how to let listeners know is what are signs of financial
Mm-hmm.
abuse. So what is financial abuse look like? Financial abuse looks like hiding money. So that's one of the major things that I have seen in divorce is that, especially when children are young or the husband took care of most of the money, then you're not allowed to, but they hide the money. So they'll move money out of the bank account. Well, let me like kind of reverse and say how it starts. So it starts with sort of financial isolation, where one spouse makes a lot more money than the other. Separate bank accounts. That's why I always tell people to insist that you have like a joint bank account that you can run your house through, for a million other reasons. Like if you don't have a power of attorney, people mistakenly think you can just walk into the bank and go, "Hey, that's my wife or my
Mm-hmm.
husband." You absolutely cannot. There's privacy if there's no joint account. But I think it starts out, especially in the younger generations, as each person goes into a relationship being completely, a financially independent person. You don't go from your mother's house to your marriage. And so that starts with two separate bank accounts, two separate lives financially. And that turns into kind of like everybody leads their own financial life, and then maybe this person puts in $1,000 towards the mortgage or whatever. You don't really have financial disclosure. I just did a series on this on Instagram, and that's kind of how it starts, where you can get in the danger zone. And the
Mm-hmm.
danger zone can be for two reasons. So one of the financial abuses is hiding money. The other one is racking up debt.
Yeah, that's common.
And yes, I think that you had said that that was part of, yeah, yours. So, you don't know. I recently, was dealing with a woman who had no idea that, I guess they spoke about money from time to time. And what they thought was that they had $200,000 in savings. Well, when shit hit the fan, they did not have $200,000. That was gone um, from gambling, and they were in debt about $80,000. So yes. So controlling money, as in, not showing somebody what's going on with their finances, or, that kind of thing, as well as not having disclosure and like racking up debt. But where I see it most, it definitely happens in relationships, and you can see it while it's happening. You should have full disclosure. I mean, you should know what's going on with your finances together, because if God forbid something happened,
Mm-hmm.
it's 50-50 anyway.
What about credit cards? Like I've had a one at a support group I did that she wasn't allowed any access to any money, and she had a joint credit card, but he analyzed everything that she spent. So it was a way to isolate her as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens when when there's one spouse that makes a lot more money
Mm-hmm.
than the other, or more money, or if somebody is just financially controlling. I mean, I think in general, everybody comes into a relationship with a different money story, just like you come in with different genetic backgrounds. And so it's really important to that's why I always say as well that you should mesh money to, because otherwise your money stories aren't going to come head to head, and
Mm-hmm.
then you won't have to respect that or work this out.
Mm-hmm.
I was dealing with a couple that I could tell one spouse was thinking the other person didn't care about what they cared about or were super cheap. And the truth is they were very scared. Like they had a scarcity, like the spending beyond their means
Mm-hmm.
was what they thought was their
Mm-hmm.
means, was very difficult for them. But yes, if, having to account for what you spend, it happens a lot to women. I was speaking to someone today about doing a live about it. It happens to women feel very helpless financially when they're on maternity leave.
Oh,
That's
that's
kind of one of the
good. Yeah.
other areas that I really see it, because you go from being financially very independent. I feel like I'm short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You go from being financially really independent to, depending on if you're self-employed, you don't even get a top up from a workplace or something like that, to completely financially dependent on somebody
Mm-hmm.
else. So it can happen at different stages, but I think that where I see it have most detrimental impact is in divorce. And
Yeah.
I think that that's the messages that I wanted to sort of, get out is, what is the law? And the law is you cannot hide money. So when I was going through my own divorce, there was all that kind of stuff, like threatening to do this or that, or you'll be broke. I don't know if there's any other, you're looking for ways to lash out. I don't know if there are other ways. And one of the ways that typically, in these instances, men can control, women with lesser incomes it's about power, is to
Mm-hmm.
ensure that they can't leave financially. And there's many, many women right now, you know, many women that cannot leave
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah. I have a case right now like that. A
So it's
client.
either the person, either there is money being
Mm-hmm.
hidden, or the situation financially. You get a lot of people that they set their spouse up to be dependent on them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to work, stay at home. It's really important that you stay with the kids. And these are important things. Obviously, the family dynamic is important. But I always say to women, you're giving up a lot. It's a very fine balance, because motherhood is the most important job you'll ever do. But at the same time, now that mat leave is 18 months, it's a long time
Mm-hmm.
to be, I'm seeing take it, but it's a long time to be out of the game. And it can set you up for financial abuse.
Well, I think awareness is one thing, right? Like to be
Absolutely.
aware, like, okay, just to be careful that this could happen. So in divorce, like I've also with a lot of people is you'll see one will start making less money or they'll go part-time. I know somebody that was married to a doctor and they decided to not start working part-time to try to limit their income. Do you see that a lot as well?
Yeah, I've seen more threats of it, to be honest with you. I've seen more threats of it than, I mean, if you do it, you're screwing yourself over just not to
Mm-hmm.
pay child
Mm-hmm.
support. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that are really, and it's very interesting to me. I mean, I've been divorced, you've been divorced. You stand before God and your friends promising your life forever, and then now you're willing to work part-time. It's really
Mm-hmm.
insane, and people need to learn to kind of let things go. That's kind of where it all happens. But it starts with, I think, the fear the fear that someone's going to leave them. And so then it starts with, how do I control these people? So it's different. There's controlling all throughout the relationship. And that is very evident in,
Mm-hmm.
similar, like, what did you spend this on? A grown woman or a grown man should not have to say why they wanted to go and, get a haircut or buy a pair of shoes, type of thing. But in divorce, it gets pretty ugly, because it's a way of like, how do I either control this person not to leave, or B, spite the person? So the type of thing that you're talking about is to spite
Mm-hmm.
the person. And they do it, to either not pay child support, or not pay spousal support. And the spousal support is one that is particularly enraging to people. That, people, I always say, I don't know why, a lot of men think that child support is being, women are going to Vegas on this like minute amount of money, and every single thing that you buy, I bought that. I don't know how far you think this $500 stretches, but it's definitely not as far as you think it is. But, I've had people, I think people get scared as well about what is their financial future next. And so that's, so people start, I've seen women do it. I mean, it's definitely not a man thing only, where everybody starts ripping money out of the joint account. And I think what's important to note for financial education is that it's not your money and his money and her money. Every single dollar that is commingled in a joint account is anybody's money. So anybody with 100%, it's not half and half as a joint account, it's 100 and 100. And I think that that's really important to understand. Now, that is, so this is a terrible thing to say, but if people are smart, they'll start ciphering money out long before. But once you've set, don't do that. Once you've set a date of separation, you really cannot, like the courts will ask for your full financial disclosure. And if all of a sudden $30,000 is missing, yes, it will cause the one spouse who's been abused problems, but they will have to put it back. Like if you can, people drain lines of credit, all that kind of stuff. So I always encourage women who come to me in that kind of situation to declare your date of separation. Do it.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing, but do it, because that is kind of where the line in the sand is drawn, where after that, it's kind of like deemed as financial abuse or hiding money or anything. If it's 2 years before that and somebody takes out, $20,000 from a savings account you didn't know you had as a couple, good luck. You're probably not going to get that money
I've
back.
heard that type of story before. I heard it where all of a sudden the brother was getting a lot of money. Oh, I'm just loaning my brother some money. I'm loaning him some money. And then he ended up divorcing her. And then the brother gave the money back to
Yeah, if
him.
someone has a long game, you can, it comes down to, and you see a lot of it, it comes down to how much of your time and energy and your mental space do you want to spend. Now, if somebody's going to rob you blind, absolutely, then, but you have to balance out legal fees. I always say to people, like, everybody needs to like calm down. If you can, mediate, that's obviously the cheapest way to go. If you can get in a room and everybody can calm down and, just kind of come to an agreement of some sort. And when people do that, I always say, just, you're not fighting. I've seen people fight for 13 years over $200 for swim lessons. I don't know how you do math, but you just paid $18,000 for those swim lessons. So it isn't, you got to let some things go. But I mean, I think that you've got to watch out for big amounts of money leaving, people scrutinizing your spending overtly, like, making, that's why I say to people, have your own bank account. In a situation where everybody's working, have your own bank account, decide. You have to, it's part of like being married, you have to decide how you're going to manage money together. So just having totally separate bank accounts, you're never addressing that part of your relationship. But when they do it in divorce, I would say a lot of times it's temporary, and people will give money, like kind of realize, like their legal counsel will say, like, buddy, this is not looking good for you, don't do that. I've also had one particular case where they kept refinancing the house because of one person's debt, and I said, listen, like, if this person will not give you full financial disclosure, you have to contemplate leaving. Like, you are broke, like you have no money, you're in your late 40s. This has happened 4 times. How many times can you make this money back? How many times can you get back on your feet? And I think that she had kind of gotten to the point where she was there anyway mentally. And so she had kind of said, listen, if you do not give me your Equifax, like, show me exactly. Because the thing is that I think that people should know is that there is confidentiality. So if you go to a lender, say you're going to refinance, your home, I can't let you know, or the person can't let you know what the other person has on their Equifax. That's private. If you're going to be paying off that credit card with the house, that's different, because you need to know everything that's, jointly being, put against the house. But if they're not, and this particular spouse was unwilling, they were not paying off their own debt because they weren't willing to disclose it.
Wow.
But that would not help you at all in a situation of divorce.
Right.
It's, straight math. If you're not going to fight, what do you have? What do you have? Divided down the middle type of thing. So if the person's been racking up debt, it's half your debt, right?
So oh, sorry, Marni, you've already said a couple of things. So what I was going to end this by, like, so what can people do? But you've already kind of mentioned a couple, right? Like,
well,
if they're,
I would say it starts with, at the beginning, money is really important. So talk about money. I do financial coaching for couples, and it's almost like mediating, like marriage counseling, because money is, people are really passionate about that. I would say start early on with ensuring that you have a seat at the table. Like if you're doing an annual review with your financial planner of your portfolio, you go.
Yeah.
None of this, and I'm not, don't worry your pretty little head about it shit. You go.
But that's even for widows either. Like that's for couples, because I have so many, like I have an aunt that, I've told her many times and she's like, oh no, no, I'm good. So it's like, it's not just for divorce, it's for everybody.
It is actually more so. People tell me all the time when I invite them to one of my events, people tell me all the time, oh, don't worry, my husband takes care of that. I'm like, oh, people die. I don't know. Oh, there goes my dog. I don't know if people, hey, leave it. Sorry, Kel, can you please get the dog's bone? So people pass away. I know many people that have woken up, I know someone who woke up next to a spouse that was no longer alive. So things happen. You have to have a seat at the table. You need to know. I've had many men that I've dealt with in my career that have said to me, if something happens, you have to help my wife. Well, help your wife now. Like everybody. So what can you do is, talk about money, speak to your financial planner together, attend meetings, ask questions. I mean, I think there's a real huge lack of financial literacy, everywhere, which is, why I do what I do. And so, I think people don't go because they feel stupid and they don't understand, right?
They're embarrassed. Yeah.
So, there's a million ways, follow me on Instagram. There's a million college courses, library courses,
podcasts,
chat GPT,
lives.
Yeah, exactly. There's a million ways to get financial literacy, but I think that people are told, don't worry about it, I've got it. No, make sure that you are also there. So start off with having a healthy, just like you would have a healthy other parts of your relationship. Try to have help, listen to the other person in terms of, what is their money story, their thoughts and beliefs and actions around money. And then if you feel like you are in a situation where there is financial abuse, you got to force the hand, because it's going to get worse and your situation is going to get worse. One of the things that I think it was you that introduced me to the person that, she sees all the time. She's a lawyer, but that's not her area of law, is that women walk away. We'll go like a couple minutes over because we started late, but that people walk away from stuff because I was talking about sometimes it's better to just let things go. And she was like, hell no. And I'm like, not your house. I'm talking about the swim lessons. I'm not talking about letting your home go. But that's another thing that you've got to be aware of. Hey, I need to lend my brother money. The business is struggling a little. I'm going to take a second mortgage against the house. Like, like everything in life, if it looks like shit and it smells like shit, it's probably shit. If you feel like you're being taken advantage of, you probably are. If you feel like you're in the dark,
you probably are.
And so go seek either, financial help, feel free to contact me, or legal help. Or, I know, I'm sure that you're hooked up with people, legally that can help people. And when it comes to being widowed or widower, but most men have more financial literacy, which is, we
Mm-hmm.
love men. It's not, we're not dissing them. But women are left out a lot more. Go Women are fantastic in that way. They really do kind of I know you see it, they just start again, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
and flourish, in ways that they never thought possible. But just, I've seen women that have never had a credit card. They didn't know that one existed. I said, oh, you owe $1,000 on your credit card. No, I don't. It's not due till the 15th. Like, this person literally thought that all the charges during the month only jumped into the world on the date that her statement used to be mailed. So there's people with, like, literally no financial literacy. So go about finding
Mm-hmm.
someone you trust. If it makes you feel stupid, wrong person.
Yeah.
Find
I think
someone.
that's really important.
The Finding someone you trust.
Yeah, yeah. I think and getting the support you need, especially with financial abuse, right?
Yes, and like I said, I find that women are lost. So find, you don't have to know how to do it. You need to know how to find someone that you trust that can do it. Like, it's that's the whole thing. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to know all the things that I know. That's, of
Mm-hmm.
course you don't. That's not your area of expertise. Just like if I'm going to an accountant, I mean, I need to know that, generally, if but I don't need to take my CPA in order to
Mm-hmm.
trust an accountant. So you can get someone that you trust. If it doesn't feel right, or someone is talking down to you, or doesn't make you feel empowered that way, there are many, ask around, ask here, is there someone that you recommend? Is there someone else you recommend? I have recommended, I no longer take physical assets. I'm just doing, like, education and
Mm-hmm.
coaching. So I refer people, and people come back to me sometimes and say that wasn't a fit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
It's
all,
got
sorry, go ahead.
it's got to be a fit. I mean, I don't know if you want to share. You said that it had happened to you, and sort of what your lessons were.
Yeah, well, briefly, just don't sign anything you don't really know.
Oh, yeah, people forge
Yeah,
signatures, though. Yeah.
yeah. So that happened to me a couple times, and it was doozies. And I was pretty naive, and I was pretty trustful.
Were you
So
naive? Were you naive due to financial lack of financial literacy, or control, or you were made to feel stupid, or all three?
all three.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's why I think this is really a good topic that, um, I mean, we could talk another time even more about it, but um, I think I wasn't aware. And my dad was an accountant. And I was just naive, trusting, young. I got married quite young, and I didn't question a lot. I just trusted, and that was really, you know, you know, naive and stupid of me, right? But now I know it's just that I just don't want people to go through what I've had to go through. And there's still a lot of women that do go through that, right? So,
Yeah. I think one of the greatest things that you just brought up is that your dad was an accountant. I mean,
mhm,
I've spoken to people that are lawyers, doctors. Like, it happens to everyone. And I think that that's something that it can happen to everybody. I think that that's something that really needs to be hammered home, that there's so much shame around it,
mhm,
because especially if you're going to say, like, I'm a lawyer or my dad's an accountant, like, I should know better.
mhm,
But when somebody else is isolating you and making and gaslighting you and making you feel stupid and making you feel crazy, you know, you start to believe it,
mhm,
and depending on, certain things, you want to be, married, or you want to have a family, or you want your marriage to work. And, so trust me, I know better, type of thing. And so it happens.
yeah. And
But I
now I
think,
have two daughters, and I just want it. I want them to just be a little bit more educated about that type of stuff, right? More aware, get their hands dirty, get educated, right? I see that I just want to mention that. I thought that was brilliant. Was you're having that workshop for, is it 9 to 15-year-olds?
yeah, so occasionally
Yeah.
it's cute. Yeah, I'm going to do it for 15 to 23 year
Oh,
olds or 21-year-olds after it. Obviously, it's not going to make any money. I'm not interested in that. It's just for service. Like, I'm going to do it for the 9 to 15-year-olds for a half an hour. I mean, if
yeah.
I can hold their attention for that long. So, my friend's son, who's 10, asked me about stocks, and I was like, that's adorable. And it was actually a really smart question. And I was like, let's start young and get
Mm-hmm.
these people. I've wanted to do it since I started the business, but there's been other
Mm-hmm.
needs. And so I thought, I'm just going to do it on a Sunday afternoon. And yes, I'm going to start to promote that. But then I'm going to do the next kind of clump of age group of 15 to like 21, where those people can do damage. Those are the years you get your first credit card.
Let me know when that is, because I got 2 that will be signing up.
Yes, I know everybody was like, please help my kid. I don't know why nobody teaches it. I mean, when I get around, when I have a moment, I'll get around to the school district boards and say, can I come in? Like,
Mm-hmm.
people need, I think that people still have this sort of fairy tale Disney. I was reading a book, Disney idea of marriage, and it's still sold to women everywhere in the world. And so part of that Disney ideal is that I will be taken care of. And so that damsel in distress, and that sets you up, and you can be taken care of, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't understand where the money goes in your household, or what, or have access to your own
Mm-hmm.
money, or have money, type of thing. And yes, that is a very important one, is not to sign documents, that you don't know. Sometimes people forge documents, but to wrap up the conversation, where I see it the most is either people that are older that were abused financially in the
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And then therefore, when they are widowed, they don't have any clue what to do.
Yeah, that's
Never,
common.
never written a check in their life. And then, a closing thing for people, that are going through a divorce, is stay calm and go get help.
Right.
Just calm, stay calm, because you're like, you see people, I know you do, that are literally like on the verge of a nervous breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to end up in a basement apartment by myself, completely broke with nothing, and so just go seek help. All that stuff that other person who's been gaslighting you maybe is telling you, that's not necessarily, they're not, that's not doesn't qualify as financial or legal advice. That's part of the abuse. So
Right.
you need to seek advice outside of this gaslit,
Right.
abusive circle.
Okay, before we go, does anyone have any questions for Marni? If you do, just put them in the comment. Otherwise, we'll be back end of June, I think, after you get back.
Yes, I'm off to
I,
Italy.
I know. I'm so jealous. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Um, my one of my best friends is he's financially abusing me. I don't know. He does the. I'm just joking. He does all the planning. We're going to Rome and then Amalfi Coast. I haven't been in Italy in many, many, many years, so we're going to the Amalfi Coast. But I'm super like loosey goosey. I don't care where I go. So if you take me anywhere by water,
You're
I'll
good. Yeah,
show up.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
happy. So yeah, super, super excited. Going Sunday. We'll be back on the 14th, and then I think we had discussed some other
Mm-hmm.
topics, but feel free to reach out to me if anybody has any questions. I offer everybody 15 minutes free, just to kind of like I don't care if it's 20 or 30. That just to you don't have to get off the phone at 15. If you think just to bounce things off. And I know for you as
Yep.
well. I don't know if that's something that you do
Yep.
as well.
I do free consultations and a newsletter too, and blogs, and our workbook's going to be coming really soon. So,
This workbook has been coming forever.
it's coming soon. We're just working on it before I start the live. So,
What's in it?
but
What
what's in it?
yeah.
All 6 units, from insights of divorce, legal information, just a general idea of legal, emotions, because that's a huge component, financial information, and co-parenting, and then recovery. And it's a workbook. It's little exercises, engagement, self-reflections, self-test, resources. It's really different. It's really unique. We've worked hard and we're excited about it.
Good.
So,
Yeah, it's very needed. I think that before people, it's great for people to be able to work some of this stuff out in
mhm.
their mind before, I think what happened when I was getting a divorce is, you think to yourself, I'm getting a divorce, I need a lawyer, right? And then you don't really have your head on straight. Maybe you're paying for something you don't have to yet, because a workbook could, help
Yeah.
you get your head on straight a little bit before, or give you
Mm-hmm.
some general information.
General idea, good foundationals for everything. That doesn't mean they don't need Marni, they don't need a lawyer, a mediator, but they go in going, I think this is what may be happening, or they're calmer, right? Or they've worked through stuff, or one of the biggest exercises we have is they have to figure out who they're divorcing and who they are. Because if you know that, like if you've seen patterns in a marriage, like maybe controlling or something, then you'll know that those patterns may stay after, right? So I was really naive. I thought my divorce was going to be, this is going to be pretty easy. Well, if I look back now at who I was divorcing and who I was married to, it was never going to be easy. So it's kind of an awareness
People
of
become
that.
someone else as
Yeah.
well. So I think that
Uh,
that's something to know. Who you're married to is not who you're going to be divorcing. And I'm
yeah.
sure they could say the same thing for us. But it's like the seventh wonder of the world, how it goes from like, let's spend our lives together to literally War of the Roses, if you've ever seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yes, it becomes very, very egregious. And I always say that divorce is like a death. It is a death of a
Mm-hmm.
dream that
Death of
you
a
had.
relationship. Yep.
It is a death, if you have children, you have to look them in the eye and tell them, their lives will be affected forever.
Mm-hmm.
My kids love to tell me. And, I say to them, oh, well, shit happens. I mean, I can't carry the guilt forever. But at the same time, I think that, you do learn a lot about, I think it's important to not, have the same patterns again. And I'm marry the same kind of person. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, the claws come out. It's not, I don't, that's why people who do this for a living like you do, seeing the divorce part, like it's it's crazy what, people say it started out with. And then, do you find that people usually can say afterwards that signs were there or?
Yeah. No, normally when you see it, you can never unsee it. Like once you've seen it, once you've reflected back in my own situation, I can never unsee it now. I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, there were a lot of patterns that I just kind of didn't really process or just thought, oh, that's okay. Well, that's okay. I gave, and I think I bent too much. And I think, yeah, I, abuse is abuse is abuse, right? And so they usually ramp up after too.
Oh yeah. I've seen, like you said,
So,
in terms of like what people can do sort of as an ending too, like you can't just do that. You can't, like, legally, you can't just quit your job and not pay child support. So if it goes before a court is not going to say, makes total sense. The surgeon makes $20,000. Like, that's not going to happen. Where it gets difficult if somebody's self-employed and you have to do like a whole like forensic analysis on them and all this other stuff. And so that's when you start to like need someone, a divorce coach, someone, that you can bounce stuff off that can say like, is it worth fighting for? Like, should I fight for this? You will have to let go. It's impossible. People come all the time to me and like, what about my lifestyle? Like you will lose part of your lifestyle. It's impossible to
mm-hmm,
take a whole and cut it in half and still have a whole.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's not
Yeah,
the way
that's
the
the
math.
reality, right?
You can rebuild. I did. I'm better than I ever have been.
Yeah.
But that takes time. And if your children are young, you're not going to be able to like take on the world. And so, I know there's someone I saw her join. We had a coffee today. She has a pre and postpartum Mamelo. She joined, and we were talking about, that's kind of where some financial abuse starts, is just sort of the lack of financial, the lack of finances that you have and preparing for it in postpartum. And then
Mm-hmm.
is it always then, because, a woman's job is they're mostly the caregivers between small children, elderly parents. And so the statistics are that women spend 38% less time in the workforce than men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Starts to become uneven. So yeah.
Yeah. That's another topic too. But
Yes.
well,
We found
thanks for,
each other.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm like panicking. I'm like,
I was
where
like,
is
where are
Marnie? Where is
I
Marnie?
was thinking we're scared.
Well, have a good trip,
Thank
and
you.
we'll connect end of June. And yeah, safe flights, safe journey.
Thank you. I don't love to fly. I hate when people say that. It's like when people clap when you land. You're supposed to land. All right.
Anyways, I wish I was in your suitcase, so enjoy.
You're
And
welcome to
thanks,
come. Have a
guys,
good
for
one.
joining. Okay,
My pleasure.
bye.